Now we're going to move on to Mike Sewall.
Yeah.
Okay. Mike Sewall asks, and hi, Mike. Hey, Dave and Manly Matt. On a Moment of Service blog in 2017, there is a listing for collected letters 1990, collected letters 2004, volume 3, and collected letters 2006. Do these still exist as digital files or gasp! Exclamation mark in parentheses. Real honest-to-goodness books. They exist as digital files. That was in 2005, 2006. Starting to scan, excuse me, the letters in the service archive. And 1990 is really the earliest year of collected letters where they exist as a separate commodity in the service archive. And the idea was, okay, this is one of the things that I'm going to be making a living off of, or Aardvark Vanaheim's going to be making a living off of, and I'm going to make a living off of Aardvark Vanaheim, is doing collected letters. So all of these collected letters have to be prepped, and most of the letters, circa 1990, and between 1990 and 1998, 1997, would have been typed copies that were photocopied before the letter went out to the recipient and had the recipient's address on it. And you can't really print somebody's address on a collected letters thing. So this was one of the first jobs that Dave Fisher had back around 2006, 2007, when I was starting to go, okay, how am I going to run this operation? So all of the 1990 letters got scanned, and as far as I know, Dave Fisher took the addresses off of them digitally. Collected letters 2004, volume 3, picked up from collected letters 2004, the book, all of the 2004 letters that didn't make it into the book, and collected letters 2006, which were the letters that picked up from those digital files. 2004 volume 3, I think, extended through 2005, and then collected letters 2006 was the first. Okay, it starts at January 1st, 2006, and it goes to December 31st, 2006. I think Dave Fisher got as far as those were scanned, but he was just in the process of taking the addresses off of the letters, and then was going to make up digital files of them, and this would be just an ongoing process. As soon as 2007 was done, here's the digital files for 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. This is what we're selling them for. We will send you a disc with all of Dave Sims' letters from that year on it. And it was like there was, if not zero demand, very close to zero demand, which ties in to your next question, Mike, which is why was collected letters 2 so much different than collected letters 1? Trim size was, okay, collected letters volume 1 well at all. Didn't sell through well at all. I'm sitting on a giant pile of them, and there have been absolutely no reorders from Diamond, and Diamond didn't order very many of them. So it was, okay, I have to reformat this to something that fits those requirements. This is about how many I can picture Diamond ordering of these. This is about how many the stores are going to order. So this is what the pool of money is. How much book is that going to buy me? And it was, well, okay, I might be optimistic here, but, and it turned out that I was optimistic. Even the book being that thin and that small, there still weren't large enough orders to sustain it. So that was the point where collected letters just was moved off the table. It was, this is a extremely specialized interest, and thank you, Mike, for being interested, and I appreciate you being interested in the collected letters. I don't know. I assume that, again, that's another aspect of Cerebus fandom, the people who are interested in the letters that I write and what it is that I had to say at a given time. That was, the idea was that selling collected letters would finance the scanning, and then the word searchability, when we had that function to say, okay, here's all of Dave Sim's letters from, well, not all from like 1990 forward, but at least from 2006 forward. So here's, you know, at this point, 16 years worth of Dave Sim's letters. If I want to know what Dave Sim has had to say about Kevin Eastman, I just have to type in Kevin Eastman, and it will say, Kevin Eastman is mentioned in all of these letters, and here's the designation. This tells you what year it's in. So consequently, the digital file for 2006, and there's a reference in a March 12th letter. There's a reference in a July 17th letter. So someone doing a book on Kevin Eastman and wanting as much information as they could get on Kevin Eastman. What has Dave Sim said about Kevin Eastman? Okay, you don't need me for that, and you don't really need the Cerebus archive for that. You just need these disks. And at this point, you just need access to this cloud, and this will answer all of your questions. But not being able to make money at it, I can't really justify paying Rolly, you know, right now to do that much scanning, and paying Rolly or somebody else to remove all of the addresses on the letters. I eventually stopped putting people's addresses on the letters for the most part, and you know, here's what I have written to everybody over the last 14 years or 16 years. I think it's still going to be a specialized thing all the way along, where it probably won't happen. Might be a third administration, fourth administration, sometime in the late 21st century, where somebody says, we really kind of have to do this. I mean, we keep running into this same wall of, yes, we do have all of Dave Sim's letters, and yes, you know, he covered a wide range of subjects. If you've got a copy of Collected Letters 2004, you know how wide-ranging his letters were. So, yes, there's lots of information in there. Comics history from, you know, 2017, 2014 that has been ignored or forgotten. And have it, but we just don't have it in an accessible form. I'm trying to figure out how to buy groceries. It's I try to be as courteous and as helpful to posterity as I can, but there are limits.
Well, the three that he mentions, if I remember correctly, back in 2017, those were add-ons to one of the Kickstarters. Where if you
right, I think we got that far. I knew that we had that as an ambition, but the amount of money that came in from the Kickstarter, no, that was not anybody's preference. The people for whom it is a preference, it's like, wow, when's 2009 going to be available? And it's like, don't hold your breath. We got a lot of other stuff that we have to do here that makes money.
There's a link on the blog to the Service Oversize project, and the link is broken. It doesn't work, and I keep getting emails going, hey, what's going on with the Service Oversize project? And it's like, I don't have the files, and I put out feelers to, the rest of the brain trust of, okay, does anybody have this stuff? And Sean's like, I have all collected letters that, were part of the Kickstarter, and I have all of the Service Oversize project, but he's also moving, so all that stuff's packed away. And I'm like, no rush, but it's one of those, once I get the files, then it's, okay, well, what do I do with them? Like, I can give away Glamour Puss because these are somebody else's scans. It's not like I'm not put out by saying, okay, here's a file that you can, you email me, I give you the file, you download it, you do whatever you want with it. Like, once we get to the Service Oversize project, that was something that was trying to make money, and it just kind of sort of failed, I think because it was a lot of end-user work instead of, like the Kickstarters, it's, hey, here's the portfolios, here's the pages, here's the bonus prints, here's whatever, all you have to do is pay us and we'll ship it to you. The Oversize project was, okay, here's the file, you have to go do stuff, and I think that's where a lot of people were like, it's a good idea, but I don't want to go to Kinko's and deal with them. And so
right.
once I get the files, then it's going to be, okay, well, what do we do with them? Do we give them to George to put on service downloads as, okay, you can buy whatever, because the other one was, it was the Humble Bundle model of pay what you want, minimum payment, but if you want to pay more, we'll take it. And it's like, and I'm, at work while I'm using the 20% of my brain that I need to continue to work, the other 80% will start running in circles of, oh, okay, well, what do we do with this? What do we do with that? And it's like, once I get the files, then it's going to be, well, then I'm probably going to send a fax up of, okay, I got the files, what do you want to do, Dave? And you're going to say, I don't know, that's computer stuff. I don't do the computer stuff.
Well, there's also the element to it of, because it's oversized, then you have to say, okay, what's the largest piece? That was actually Sandeep's thing that he came up with when he was trying to figure out how to make Aardvark Vanaheim make money. And it's like, all of it sounds like a great theory. It's like, yeah, let's give that a try. It sounds great. No, people definitely I want you to print it, and I want you to package it, and I'll pay you way too much money to ship it to me because I'm going to want this thing. I think you're still going to end up going around in circles, but it's going to be a situation of, okay, what's the largest oversized thing in the Cerebus archive, which should be in digital file form, that Sean would have. How would you package that? I would assume it would be two very, very large pieces of cardboard taped around the outside. At that point, you can say, okay, this is what it's going to cost to ship that. It really doesn't matter how heavy it is because the size is the thing that's going to establish how much it costs to ship. And at that point, it becomes, okay, we can sell you a a 10-piece package or a 20-piece package or a 30-piece package, and you just have to pay this amount of money to generate the 30 pieces, this much money to ship it, this much money to pay Rolly to package it, and this much money for the packaging. And if that's worth it to you, then that's great. If it's something that you'll have to save up for, that would make a lot more sense. Like, don't order a 10-piece package and go, okay, I want all, however many there are, 75 of them or whatever it is. Wait until you're buying all 75 because you're gonna save on the shipping cost. This is one of the criteria that we're trying to get to with the Kickstarters, particularly with the service number 4, the one that we're doing right now, where it's like, okay, offer comic books, offer scans of the service number 1 pages, because by the time you're paying to ship a stay flat and 11 individual sheets of cardboard inside the stay flat and plastic to wrap it, anything else that you add onto that isn't going to add on to onto the shipping cost. With a ceiling on it, you will get past the ceiling, but the ceiling becomes much higher at that point, as opposed to shipping one comic book and backing board and plastic bag to someone, and if you can keep it under 200 grams, it costs $5, and if it goes over 200 grams, it costs $11. Well, okay, let's figure out how to keep it to 200 grams. These are the variables that you have to keep in mind. But yeah, definitely that sounds good to me. Sandy did all of the scanning that he needed to do on the oversized pieces and put together digital files. Offer this to people. All you have to do is take it to your local Kinko's, and they'll print you one, and it'll cost you this much to get it printed. And that's just not how comic book fandom in general or service fandom in specific roles. We just don't do that. We will pay you the money. We who can afford it will pay you the money to do all of that stuff for us. We don't want to go to Kinko's and have to. I think it's got a lot to do with questions. It's like the guy behind the counter is going to ask me a question, and I'm going to have no idea what it is that he's talking about. And all of a sudden, this 5-minute visit to Kinko's is turning into a half hour or 40 minutes, and half hour or 40 minutes of like writing the final exam in university, and you didn't actually take the course. It's like, this is really, really unhappy. I don't want to do this. I will pay Dave Sim and several other people a lot of money to deal with all of this on my behalf, so that I just end up with the end product.
Well, if the biggest size piece could be printed out and then rolled into a mailing tube and shipped and be feasible that way, but then at the same time, now you got to buy a crap load of mailing tubes, and you got to make sure that when you're rolling them, you don't roll them too tight and crink them or whatever. And that's where in my head I'm going, well, we could offer one oversized piece a year where it's okay, hey, it's August 15th and the Kickstarter's up for oversized piece number 1, and once we do oversized piece number 1, that one's gone, and then next year we'll do oversized piece number 2 and work our way down until the smallest ones. But it sounds like it's a lot of work, and I mean, not to be a crass jerk, but where's Dave's cut? Everybody's getting a piece of the pie. How much of the pie is left over to go into AV, to keep the lights on and keep Dave fed and that kind of thing. And that's where I'm like, because as you were talking, I'm thinking, well, I could get the files and I could go to my copy shop and see how much would it cost to print the biggest piece, and how much would it cost to ship. And it's like, the law of diminishing returns kicks in of like, at a certain point, the original plan of here's the files, figure out what you want to do with them, and just pay us $25 for the files.
Right. It's and I think what you're going to end up with at the end of the day, even if you figure out a way to do it, and you figure out a way for us to print the oversized pieces here and probably print them individually. It would be every time we get an order, we'll print one of these. Rolly goes over to wherever the place is. They've got the digital file. They print it out. We roll it up, put it in a mailing tube. You can buy mailing tubes at Canada Post of varying sizes. Address it, put the postage on it, mail it to the person. The person gets it, pulls out the oversized piece, puts it in the middle of their living room carpet, and goes, "Wow, that's amazing." And then rolls it up and puts it back in the tube and puts the tube in a closet, and eventually is going to go, I can't keep buying these because I'm also not inclined to keep pulling this out of the closet and unrolling it and putting it on my carpet and going, wow, I want something that's sitting right there that I can go, wow.
Well, that's the one question I have with all the archive portfolios that people have bought and all the bonus prints and all that stuff is, how much wall space do these people have where they're putting all this stuff up so that you can see it?
Right.
Like, I have all the portfolios, but they're on a shelf in my hallway outside my bedroom because when we bought the house, it's got these built-in bookshelves. And I'm like, built-in bookshelves? I'm a bibliophile. This is the greatest thing in the world. And then we moved in, and I discovered that all my books are just a hair too big to stand up, and I have to lay them down. And I'm like, I'm less enthused to live here for the rest of my life. Like
severely less enthused.
Like I have every Stephen King book, and they're all pretty much the same size. And when I bought it, I'm thinking I can put all my Stephen King books on these shelves. And I moved in, and I opened the box, and I put the first one on the shelf, and went, "Oh, this sucks." And so like
how bad is it?
It's not. I mean, I could get my brother and my friend. We could pull the lumber out and rebuild the shelves so they're the right size. But
right.
At the same time, that sounds like work.
Yes.
So
yes.
I just have all my books, all my Stephen King books on this this set of shelves sideways, and then because it's what is it? It's 6 shelves. The top shelf is complete. It's the entire length. All the other 6 have a divider right in the middle, and the top shelf is paperback size, which is fine because I have a bunch of paperbacks. But then they get slightly bigger as you go down, but not big enough.
Right.
But
right.
I have a shelf, and I have all my portfolios on one, and below it I have all the stay flats, because I used to keep the portfolios in the stay flats, and one day I went, you're paying a lot of money, and you're not even pretending that you're going to look at these. You should pull them out.
Right.
So I pulled them out, and it's one of those, I have an idea in my head for how I want to display this, but it involves going to the lumber yard, buying molding that's thick enough, and building a big, fat, thick frame, kind of like a shadow box, with a pop-up top so I can display all of them together, stacked up, and then just open the top and pull the first one out and put it in the bag and, rotate through. So, okay, I can look at this page for a couple weeks, and then I'm bored of looking at it. I'll rotate it, and then I'll look at the next page. And it's one of those, it's an idea I've had in my head since, like, the 3rd portfolio, and it's like, oh, this is a great idea, I should totally go do this. And it means going to the store and taking measurements and cutting stuff and making sure everything fits and looks decent, because I don't want it to look like crap.
Right.
I could just buy an easel and put the portfolios stacked on an easel and just tell the kids, don't knock over my easel every 5 minutes.
Right.
But like I said, it's one of those things like, some of the original art collectors who, they buy page after page after page. Like, what are you doing with all this stuff? You telling me your entire house is wallpapered in a little gray aardvark?
Yeah, we're all in the same boat, really, because it's satisfaction that you have it. You know that it's there, and it's like I've got Barry Windsor Smith's Red Nails, the artist edition, the oversized book, and what I decided to do was to keep it in the rectangle office, because this is the only place with a phone, with a landline, and anytime that and it happens very seldom, where I'm forced to actually phone a business to try and get an answer on something, and I'm put on hold, I don't mind being put on hold, because I can just pull out Red Nails and go through it as slowly as it's like, take your time. You want to put me on hold for 2 hours? That's great. I have an excuse to look at Red Nails for 2 hours. But I've got lots of other stuff here that, yes, that would be really great if I could display that, but there's only so much display space, and that's where, on my part, that's when the obligation to posterity kicks in, where it's, I don't know what is going to be important to who, when, and how far up ahead, and to what extent. So all I can do is try and conserve as much of the stuff that I did, so that it's in the same condition that I had it when somebody in 2097 goes, that actually exists, like they've actually got that at the White House, or they have access to that. Man, that is exactly what I'm looking for, and here's why that's exactly what I'm looking for. And well, okay, that's why I did all of this Serapis Archive stuff, so that however few people there are that becomes the situation, they're able to do that. All I can do is try and extend that to, well, okay, the Serapis Archive portfolios aren't as good as the artwork, but it's as close as you're going to get to the artwork, and then adding in the commentaries, which is, it would be nice if I had unlimited time up ahead and could say, okay, just start at the early pages in the archive and just write your commentaries on them all the way through. And it's like, man, if my brain turns to cream cheese just doing Serapis number 4, you can imagine what the effect's going to be if that's all that I do in my working life. Let's say, God willing, Strange Death of Alex Raymond actually gets done.
Well, that's, I was thinking about that the other day of, okay, best case scenario, you get through the Strange Death, you have everything, all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed, you're as far along and it's as done as you're going to be able to get it in your lifetime, and you still have time, what's the next project? And I know the answer is a long nap, Matt, a long nap, but at the same...
Well, that's what I said about when Serapis is done, and it's like, well, yeah, you sleep for 2 or 3 days, and then you realize you've got this massive pile of stuff that you have to deal with.
Well, and something I've noticed about you, Dave, and I mean, it's not a bad quality for all of us fans, but it's just a weird quality for the regular people in the world, is you kind of have this tendency to be like, oh, I'm going to do this little project. It won't take very long, and 26 years later...
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to do a comic book. Okay, I'm going to do 300 of them. Do you know how long it takes to do 300 comics? Yes, Dave does. And it's, okay, now I'm going to do a short little thin 48-page book. Okay, and I applause for Judenhaus, because it was exactly what you said it was going to be. It did not explode. It didn't mushroom out. It stayed its own contained thing. And then it was, I'm going to do a book about photorealism tied together with fashion magazine parody. And that kind of spiraled away from you. And Serapis Archive, the comic series, kind of started to spiral away. And the weekly update, which started as a, hey, we're reprinting High Society, and here's what's going on with that, and now you're on, like, what, 412 or something like that? I mean, it's, even these phone calls started as a, hey, I don't want to waste my time typing things, I want to save the wrist for important stuff, so how about I just call you, Matt? And it's like, okay. And here we are how many years later, and it's, like I said, it's not a bad thing for, like, Margaret. Margaret, I'm sure, is listening to this right now going, oh, they said my name again. And she's either really happy or really sad.
We mentioned Margaret, even if it's only to point out that she uses probably instead of probably. What's the other thing that Margaret does that irritates me is a couple issues. No, it's a couple of issues. And it's not just Margaret now. It's like I went, okay, I just have to get used to it with Margaret. The newspapers that I get are doing it. A couple this. And it's like, a couple of this. How functionally illiterate are you? You're a newspaper. And it's like, don't worry, Grandpa's going to be dead before anybody has to worry about this too much. But yes, that's one of those. I try to put my time where it seems the most sensible to put the time. And, just Strange Death of Alex Raymond, I was very pleased with myself that the Bandar Rubies section, I went, okay, just here's what I'm going to do in Bandar Rubies. There's other stuff that I could do, but I'm not going to do it because I want to get through these stories and just explain what it is that I think Ward Green is doing and why he was doing it. And then because I did the logo for Bandar Rubies and had copies of the typeface that I printed out, and I hadn't properly thanked Larry Wooten for the off-White House stickers, which Rolly's been going through great guns. It's like, well, okay, it's not really original art. It kind of is, but it's, my Bandar Rubies lettering. I thought it came out really good. Here's what the black and white looks like. Stuff that would have just gone in Margaret's bag, and I went, well, okay, here's stuff that I'll send to Larry Wooten, and came to On Location with Rip Kirby, which was a publication King Features did in 1949, and came to the cover and looked at the cover images and knew where most of them were from and went, oh, I know what he's doing here. And it's like, yeah, but you just got through Bandar Rubies without getting bogged down in these side things. Do you want to get bogged down in this side thing? And it's like, of course, the first two images, the image of Desmond and the image of Rip Kirby on the cover of On Location with Rip Kirby, are both from Bandar Rubies. And at that point, you sent me the fax saying, I don't know if Benjamin Hobbs sent you the stuff on the ruby slippers, starting out as the silver slippers, but here's my information. And I took that as a sign that, okay, I am going to get bogged down in On Location with Rip Kirby, but hopefully not severely bogged down. I'm just going to, but I did start off going, okay, there's 6 people on the cover, just headshots. Here's the 6. I can fit all 6 of them on one page. I just have to explain why it is that this image is significant, and why I'm pretty sure Ward Green picked it out. And of course, I start explaining this on my laptop, and okay, now the whole first page is taken up with Desmond, and then the whole second page is taken up with Rip Kirby. but I did, and then the whole third page was taken up with Honey Dorian, and the whole fourth page was taken up with Pagan Lee. And it's like, well, okay, this thing that I wasn't going to do, that is now, that was then just going to be a page, is now going to be 6 pages, which is a week's worth of work. Take a lesson from this. Stop doing that. You can put it in the annotation. And that's what keeps happening as well, is that I go, okay, I've gotten this far, now I have to explain something else. Well, just put it in the annotation. And that becomes something that Eddie has to do. And Eddie's looking at Strange Death of Alex Raymond annotations eating up, he estimates the next 5 years of his life. And it's probably going to be longer than that. And it's, in a way, I hope that there is time left to me after Strange Death of Alex Raymond. And in another way, it's like, no, if I can just get this one done and then die the week after, I'm going to call that a win.
I don't feel so bad anymore. I keep kicking myself because I have my secret project number 1, I have secret project number 2, and I'm not working on either one of them. I have 5 issues of Service in Hell that I'm working on in my head, and some of them, like Vark Wars 3, there's a part of me going, do we really need a Vark Wars 3? And then it would make you happy. I don't know if it would make you happy enough to warrant the amount of time that you're going to have to put into it. Well, the problem is that I love the puzzle, and I figured out 90% of the puzzle, and the last 10% I'm kind of like, I just don't care. And it's like, yeah, you do, otherwise you wouldn't think about it. And then, like, I came up with an idea for a LGBTQ etc. people sequel. That the premise I came up with was that the Infernal Florida has the Don't Say Gay bill, so now they're the L' BGQT etc. people because they can't say gay. And I said, I sent it to the team and like, hey, I came up with this idea and I got a couple of strips in mind, and I have a spine to the issue, but it's one of those where it could be a team thing where we could all pitch in ideas together. And I even found a cover to parody, which is I forget what issue of Uncanny X-Men, but it's one of the first Kitty Prides, and the cover is "Welcome to the X-Men, Kitty Pride. Hope you survive the experience." And I went, okay, welcome to the L' BTQ etc. people, Batvark. Hope you survive the experience, and kind of gave a quick synopsis, which is Batvark's in a bar, a guy hits on him, he says, "I'm not gay," and gets arrested for saying gay, and the judge gives him community service with the L' BGTQ etc. people, where he's got to do 100 hours of community service with the DARE program, the Dick Attraction Resistance Education. And the strips I had on that one was basically they stand up in front of a class going, "Don't be gay," and then showing gladiator movies, and all the guys that are curious all the kids that are curious suddenly become gay, because that's how the DARE anti-drug program worked. Of the cops come in and say, "Don't do drugs," and show people drugs, and everyone I know that went through the program does drugs.
Right.
So I mean, there was jokes there, and I kind of typed it up, and I sent it to the guys, and Hobbs came back with, "Well, wouldn't it be funnier if the law was you have to say gay?" And I'm like, no, the apostrophe is what's funny.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the situation you get into. There you're writing 2 different comic books.
And
that's a little further down here, where it's like you sent me the transcript of the brain trust about the printer. We're just coming up to the printer, and it's like, my God, no wonder you people never get any work done. This bantering back and forth. I'm so glad that I do not have internet access. I don't know where I would fit email and internet access. People fax if they have to, but only if they have to. People email even when they don't have to, even when it's a really bad idea to do so. Okay, we're going to move on from there to